that shit on the headline.
Tanjiro Kamado. He lives with his family up in the mountains, up in the snowy mountains, where he collects charcoal and takes it down to the village to earn money and to make a living. He lives up there with his mother, his father, his younger sister Nezuko, and his other siblings. However, he's very different to his other siblings and very different to his canon counterpart, where all of his family have either black or dark maroon hair. He has light blue hair, still having the dark maroon eyes that he originally had in canon. He is also a lot more relaxed and nonchalant about a lot of things, and can sometimes be a bit more aggressive than normal, and he's a lot more prone to put himself out there in danger, not thinking about the consequences. While he's up there with his family, he learns with his father, when his father goes up to do the ceremonial Hinokami Kagura dance for the New Year's ritual, he decides one year, at the age of around 9 years old, that he wants to try it out. And so he does, and over the next few years, training with his father, he finally gets a almost grasp on the dance, as his father just explains that this is a ceremonial thing that they've done in their family for generations. When he was around the age of 10 years old, he also found that he had this strange ability. It's almost some strange magical ability where a sort of rope or chain made of this strange pinkish magic will fly out of his hand and grab something, and he can pull it back, and it doesn't even matter what it is, whether it is a log, a sword, or even a part of a person's body. As one time when him and his brother were out collecting wood, they were attacked by a wild mountain boar. As the boar went charging towards his brother, he threw his kind of rope magic thing that he kind of named Snatch. He threw it towards the boar to try and pull it away from his brother. However, when he threw it at it, it just went straight through as he pulled back, tearing out the monster's heart. Or not the monster, but the boar's heart, killing it immediately. As he found this out, he decided to try and train it at least, and try and figure out how to use it properly, so that if they or their family are ever in danger, he can try and use this strange magical ability to take down anyone that tries to harm his family. That, along with the Hinokami Kagura dance, could be quite a vicious combo if he ever has to get himself into a fight, which would be very unlikely since they're quite solitary up in their mountain house, and the only person that really leaves is himself to go and give charcoal to the residents of the village down below and help them out with other tasks. A few years later, when Tanjiro was the age of 13, he goes down greeting or saying goodbye to all of his family, his father dying a few months earlier, as he goes down to give everybody the firewood and charcoal that they need, also helping them out if they need be. As he does this for the entire day, he ends up going back, heading back home as it starts getting dark, realizing that he may have done a bit too much to help everyone, as it will be dark before he arrives home. As he realizes this and starts walking home, an old man decides to go and warn him about these strange creatures called demons that come out at night, and he shouldn't go out at night. so just to stay with him for the night and go back home in the morning. Tanjiro, after some convincing was needed, and since his nonchalant attitude just thought, it should be fine, it will be all good, is finally convinced by the old man to stay with him for the night as he does it, and they head home, or he wakes up and heads home the next day. As he makes it up the hill and sees his homestead, he sees something horrifying. His family massacred as he sees his sister Nezuko lying over his younger brother with blood surrounding them. As he rushes in, checking if any of them are alive, as he kind of rushes around trying to figure out what happened, he looks inside to see his mother and the rest of his siblings dead in the corner and all around the house. Tanjiro doesn't know what to do. He's freaking out. He's just unsure of what happened. It's so sudden. Why has this happened? He's just kind of freaking out as he hears something behind him. He turns around and hears and smells and hears his sister Nezuko moving, realizing she's still alive. Rushing as fast as he can, he chucks her on his back as he runs down the hill. Running down to try and get to the village to save her. As he does this, she wriggles around on his back, forcing him down a small cliff as they land in the soft snow, breaking their fall as they land in the forest. As Tanjiro kind of looks up, he sees his sister Nezuko on the ground. Before he can really get up, however, she gets up first, as it's weird. Her teeth are sharpened, her nails are elongated, and saliva is drooling from her mouth as she looks up towards Tanjiro. Her eyes are slitted, and kind of vessels and blood vessels are pulsating around her face and in her eyes as she leaps towards him. Him only having the small axe that he was carrying on him, puts it in front of him, throwing it into Nezuko's mouth and trying to hold her off. Him, being a lot stronger than a person probably should be, is able to force her off and push her onto the ground, forcing her down there as to make sure she doesn't cause any harm to him or anyone around, as he tries to knock some sense into her. As he's holding his sister down, trying to restrain her, Tanjiro then sees his sister Nezuko crying, looking like she doesn't want to do this, but she can't resist it, she can't stop. As he sees this, he then hears something behind him, turning around to see a man behind him. As he sees this, the man then explains that she is a demon and she needs to die. Tanjiro then explaining to the man, "Please, no, she's my sister, she's no demon. And if she was, then she can change. No matter what, I'm not gonna let her hurt anyone." "Well, if that's the case, kid, then try and stop me." As this happens, the man tries to dash towards Tanjiro, before Tanjiro then grabs Nezuko and throws her away, her hitting a tree as a blade swings down towards him. Tanjiro dodging to the side before pushing the blade away, as the man then shoulder checks him and dashes towards Nezuko, grabbing her and going behind her, putting his blade up to her neck. Him thinking that this kid is quite impressive, that he was able to, one, have the strength to throw her that far, and two, being able to dodge him, and him kind of bringing this up to Tanjiro, saying that he is quite impressive for someone who he believes is kind of untrained. As this happens, he then explains that if he wants to save his sister, and if he wants his sister to live, he will have to save her. Take her off his hands and get her away. As this happens, Tanjiro then kind of gets up. As he's on the ground, he gets up, hitting the ground, angry at himself that he let himself get pushed down like that. He starts slamming the ground harder and harder as he tries to get up, summoning all the strength he can. This pink aura starts coming off of him as Tomioka, the man holding the blade up to his sister's neck, starts feeling weaker and weaker. Not really sure what's happening, as he's thinking like, I was able to, what's going on? Why am I getting weaker? As Tanjiro's getting bigger, more muscles are forming on his body as he's getting bigger and stronger and angrier. As he charges towards Tomioka with blinding speeds, as he hits Tomioka away with one hand, sending him flying before grabbing his sister and bringing her into a hug. As that happens, he starts feeling the drawback. As soon as he brought up this power, it's gone, as he falls to the ground immediately, unable to move as he tries to move, but he just can't. Him feeling extreme pain, and his muscles are throbbing, feeling like they're tearing his insides out, as he's just on the ground in pain. As this happens, Tomioka gets up, ready to go back at him, but he sees the demon, Tanjiro's sister Nezuko, guarding him, protecting him from this demon slayer. As soon as that happens, Tomioka dashes forward, knocking her out, as he then explains to Tanjiro that he should go to his old master. His old master was a former Hashira from the Demon Slayer Corps, and he can train him to defeat kind of demons and to save his sister. A few hours later, Tanjiro wakes up, remembering what Giyu Tomioka had told him earlier, and decides to head off to his master, taking Nezuko with him, putting her in the basket, and heading off to the mountains. Quite a few hours later, they arrive at around just past noon, as they arrive to a strange building, a building with a strange scent. It smells familiar. It's the smell of blood, as he dashes in, seeing a man being eaten to death by another man. Yeah, so he sees a man being ripped apart by this monster figure. Like, he looks human, but it's not, as the person turns around as he charges towards Nezuko. Charges towards Tanjiro, sorry. As he charges towards Tanjiro, as he tries to eat him. Seeing Nezuko there, wondering why Nezuko isn't eating Tanjiro. Tanjiro, using his snatch ability, reaches out, snatching at the demon's head and ripping it off before throwing it towards the tree and grabbing the axe that he already had in his hand and throwing it, hitting the demon square in the skull, splitting it as it can't move. He then uses his snatch ability again to rip out the demon's heart and to pin that thing down until the sun, until kind of it can bring it outside, burning it alive. As this happens, he then sees an old man walk towards him. This man being Urokodaki, as he explains that he is the boy, or Urokodaki explains that he must be the boy that Tomioka had told him about and sent him a letter. As Tanjiro explains that, yeah, he is. So, doing this, he then decides to go and train with Urokodaki. Him being taken up the hill and being forced to run down it constantly. Tanjiro getting the hang of it very quickly and making it down the hill in a matter of hours. As Urokodaki is very surprised that he was able to do it this quickly. And Tanjiro explains that he's just built different. As I explained earlier, he's got a bit more of a cocky side, since he is Barnes' reincarnation. So, yeah, he then decides to send Tanjiro to do some more training, making him use kind of a sword, but Tanjiro explains that he doesn't really have a good affinity for the sword, as he wants to try out some other weapons. As Urokodaki shows him some other things, he then shows him a sword, an axe, a different types of swords. He even shows him a kind of couple of daggers that he could use, and a bow staff. That is until he's shown a 3-section staff. Tanjiro immediately taking an affinity to it, except wondering if he could get one extra kind of stick attached to it, making it a 4-section staff, giving him some more reach. Urokodaki does so, as they then get his staff, as he uses it very proficiently, using it like nunchucks but better, as he's able to use it extremely proficiently and easy. Urokodaki then sends him to a boulder for him to split. Tanjiro doing so, as he's then forced to split the boulder. He does this, and it takes him about 3 weeks, maybe, around 3 weeks to try and cut through the boulder, until he makes a gigantic swing, slamming it down into the boulder, splitting it in half, and sending both halves flying back. As he does this, Urokodaki stands there kind of shocked, as he wanted to see how Tanjiro was doing. He stands there shocked, seeing that the boulder has been destroyed. As he does this, he then explains that he should try and figure out, questions if he wants to go for the exam that's coming up now, or if he should wait. And Tanjiro explains that his father did a dance where it looked like he symbolized like some sort of fire when he used it, and that was a kind of dance that he called the Hinokami Kagura, and he had a little bit of experience in it, but he couldn't get full control over it, and explained that he wanted to try and master that before he went to the kind of exams. Urokodaki accepts this, kind of thinking in his mind that he wants Tanjiro to train as much as possible, as he doesn't want to lose another student. Tanjiro, using the Hinokami Kagura, using it multiple times, digging into his memory and trying multiple different ways to use it until a year had passed, as he's nearly completely mastered the Hinokami Kagura, as he's created his own form that incorporates his snatch ability, called Hunter's Breathing. Him using his multiple different abilities, using the Hinokami Kagura and snatch, him also trying to use the ability that he used against Tomioka, but with less drawbacks, that he liked to call Hunter's Fist. With that ability, he's able to drain the strength of anything around him and bringing it into himself, and strengthening himself for a small amount of time, but the drawback of it is that he is pretty much immobilized after the Hunter's Fest is over. As he tries to train this, he trains this over the next year as well, getting stronger and stronger and getting a lot better at this ability. As he used this, he then figures out how to incorporate everything and create the perfect hunting breathing kind of breathing style. as he then leaves with Nezuko being asleep over this time, and Urokodaki sending him off to do the exam. As he arrives to the final kind of selection exam, he sees that there's a bunch of different slayers around, going around and seeing that some of them are very confident, some of them are very afraid, until he sees two little girls arrive explaining how the exam will work, before then sending them out for them to survive a week in the forest. Over this time, Tanjiro used his hunting style to defeat multiple different demons, trying to figure out how to use or how to save his sister, but after realizing that none of them really knew, he just decides to slaughter any demon that comes into his path. Him able to use the Hinokami Kagura to defeat them very easily, using his Hunter's Fist to bring out a little bit of their strength and sap a little bit of their strength from them, making sure that he doesn't have the drawbacks that he had, or not a lot of the drawbacks that he had, until kind of killing them and resting for a short amount of time, making sure that his body recovers from using said Hunter's Fist. Once he gets through a few nights, it is now the 4th day, or the 5th day. As he kind of is scouring around, he sees this strange glow from behind him. As he goes through the forest, he goes through these trees, seeing a strange kind of cove area. As he sees all this, he then goes through the cove, seeing that there's this little girl with a little amulet? No, a strange cup. A strange cup that's filled with what looks like water. As Barn goes in, seeing... Or Tanjiro goes in, not Barn, I mean Barn as Tanjiro. Tanjiro goes in, asking like what this place is. The little girl turning around, explaining that this is what is left of the fairy forest. Tanjiro wondering what the fairy forest is, as the girl then explains that they don't have a lot of time and that he must drink the fountain of youth to preserve it. As if he does this, then the fairy forest may come back once more. However, the forest is dying, as there are no longer fairies around the area, only demons have taken over the world. But Tanjiro is extremely confused, but obliges as he drinks the fountain, or drinks the strange water out of the cup, as he doesn't feel any different, as he turns to ask the girl what happens next, but he's back in the forest. As soon as that happens, he turns around to see a demon attacking him, as the demon slices his arm clean off. Him kind of freaking out, wondering like, what the hang, how did it sneak up on him? When he looks down to his arm and it's back with steam just arising off of his arm. Tanjiro, being very confused, decides to not question it and just charge towards the demon, taking off its head immediately with his 4-section staff. As that happens, he then goes and takes down more demons until he hears screaming. Running towards the sound, seeing this grotesque creature chasing after this demon slayer as it's eating another one. As this happens, Tanjiro charges in, dashes right in front of the kid that was running away as he uses Hunter's Fist, draining away the demon's energy before using Snatch, throwing his hands out and grabbing the demon's heart, ripping it out as he then jumps up, using hunting style, 3rd form, Thief of the Sun, as he uses Hunter's Fist, draining all of the demon's energy and all of its strength, it falling down immediately as he bulks up considerably. His his 4-section staff looking like it's on fire, surrounded by these strange flames covered in yellow, purple, pink, and blue. The demon not really seeing it, but Tanjiro just imagining it, since they don't actually emit fire, it's just a figment of their imagination. As he throws down his kind of 4-section staff, hitting the demon square in the head, going straight through the demon's arms and taking off its head easily. As this happens, the other Demon Slayer, or Demon Slayer cadet, is very shocked, really, that he took him down that easily, as his mark changed from the strange scar into the normal scar that he has in the original canon, as that doesn't change. He did also save his brother as a child, gaining the scar on his head. As soon as that happens, Tanjiro then charges forward, seeing that he's got a little bit of a cut on his head from debris, but it healing immediately as the scar appears. As soon as that happens, Tanjiro then charges forward, defeating a bunch of the demons until the time comes. As they arrive to the edge of the different places, or to edge of the forest, arriving back, seeing that only a few of them have made it back. As that happens, the girls then arrive, stating that they shall now pick their metals. As this happens, a strange boy charges up, explaining that he doesn't want to pick his metals, he wants his sword now. As this happens, he then goes towards one of the girls, grabbing at their head. As soon as that happens, he then feels something hold his arm. As that happens, he looks to his right, seeing Tanjiro there, holding his arm in a strong grip before a strange pink glow surrounds him, as the boy loses energy very quickly as he can barely stand up, releasing his hand from the girl as the energy is then taken back as he then gains strength back into his body. As this happens, the girls then explain that they will be getting their swords or their different weapons, but they will have to wait for them to be created. As this happens, they then explain that Tanjiro should pick first, as he smells out the right metal and gets his weapon to be created. After this, he then goes back to Urokodaki's place, as Urokodaki is very happy to see him as he arrives back, seeing Nezuko there, as he runs up to her, grabbing her into a hug as they both start crying, as they haven't seen each other for 2 whole years. Tanjiro then sees Urokodaki there as he brings them all into a hug, explaining that he is very happy that Tanjiro has survived. A few weeks pass as Tanjiro waits outside, seeing that there is a strange man in a goblin looking mask, or a weird mask, as he arrives, giving Tanjiro his weapon, which he explains that it is a very unique weapon, and he is very happy that he was able to make it for Tanjiro. As Tanjiro opens it up, seeing that it is his 4-section staff. As they go inside, he then takes a hold of it, as the man explains that he wonders what the colour will be. It could be red, it could be a blue colour, or it could be just weird, as it turns multicoloured. It has gold with black linings all through it. As that happens, the man is very surprised, wondering, what the hang? Why is this so weird? As he then explains that he was hoping that it would be red or something, but oh well, this is just as cool. As Tanjiro is given his kind of crow when they were at the place, wherever they were, the different examination, and The crow explains a few days later that he will have to go to a village where demons have been, or where girls have been going missing. As this is explained, Tanjiro charges off, with Urokodaki creating a kind of box for Nezuko to sit in, it being a quite light wood as she can shrink in and be in it. Tanjiro charging off as he runs off to go defeat the villain. As that happens, a few days later, he arrives as he sees a boy crying in the middle of a street with a man yelling at him that he shouldn't have let his daughter disappear, what happened. It's after this, Tanjiro walks up to the man asking what happened. Tanjiro, the man then explaining that his fiancée went missing and they don't know where he went or where she went, as they were just talking and then she just disappeared. Tanjiro explaining that he's here to kind of help to figure out what happened, as the man then is very grateful and explains that he'll help him if he can, as Tanjiro says, yeah, sure, just make sure that you're out of the way to make sure you're not hurt. So Tanjiro waits until night. As this happens, he smells something. He smells a demon charging forwards, as before the girl could even be swallowed up, the demon's head is taken clean off. As his head goes flying off, 2 other demons then burst open in the room as Tanjiro yells Hunter's Fest. As the 2 demons drop to the floor, Tanjiro uses his 4 section staff and takes off both the demons' heads with relative ease, with pretty much one swipe, just spinning around and taking both of their heads off immediately. As that happens, he also rips off a part of the demon's jacket, showing the different parts of the different hairbands that the girls, or the missing girls, had. As he gives it to the man, explaining hopefully one of these hairbands is your wife's or fiance's. As the man is very grateful, and Tanjiro explains that no matter what, they have to keep moving forward, and the man realizes that Tanjiro has definitely been through some stuff. Immediately after, as he leaves the man there to cry about his lost fiancée, Tanjiro then gets a message from the crow explaining that he must go to Tokyo as there has been a demon spotted there. As that happens, Tanjiro arrives and orders some food at night, being kind of freaked out since it's a bunch of lights, but also feeling that this is kind of familiar and that he's been in this kind of situation before, and a strange place where it never sleeps. It's very surprising for him. But anyway, he arrives to this strange noodle stand and orders some noodles, about to eat them when he then gets a scent. Him placing the noodles nicely on the bench before charging off, running towards the middle of the city and seeing a man. As he grabs onto the man's shoulder, he turns around. Tanjiro ready to take the man's head off, knowing that he's the demon that killed his family. As that happens, he is told, or the man turns around holding a little girl. Tanjiro being a little bit stumped for a second, but still ready to take the man's life. As a woman then asks the man what's the problem, as he explains that nothing's the problem, but he doesn't know who this young guy is. As that happens, Tanjiro walks forward as the man prepares to turn the demon, sliced a man's neck, turning him into a demon. However, Tanjiro uses Hunter's Fest just on Muzan, taking away his energy for a split second. as he almost collapses under the pressure and losing all of his strength. However, it's coming back immediately, realizing that that won't work. So he decides to leave. Tanjiro kind of nodding his head and kind of gesturing for him to get out of there, but he will kill him. But as that happens, a woman then walks up to him as the man walks away. The woman explaining that that is Muzan Kibutsuji, and he is the king of all demons, and she knows a way for him to heal his sister. As that happens, Tanjiro then takes his sister Nezuko and eats the rest of the food as they go to the mansion, or to their house, arriving and the woman explaining that they can heal his sister. As they go through multiple different procedures, this lady explained that her name is Miss Tamayo, and yeah, that she is also a demon, as well as her assistant. As they're explaining this, Tanjiro then smells something outside, as a ball is shot through the building, ready to hit both of the people. However, Tanjiro stands in front of it, hitting him square in the body, making his body explode. As the ball explodes as well, the two demons are freaking out, wondering like, why did he do that? Until steam starts erupting off of his body. As that happens, he then heals, immediately standing back up. Man, oh, that felt weird. I am not used to that. Gee whiz, that kind of hurt. Holy hell. We'll finish this talk later. First, I'll take care of these demons. As that happens, he walks outside, seeing the two demons there, as they both prepare to attack him. However, before the arrow demon can even throw, the ball demon can throw her balls, or the arrow demon can shoot him with his arrows, or direct his gravity, or anything like that, he appears right in front of the arrow demon, using Hunter's Fist on both of them, using his snatch ability to grab the other demon's head and rip it off, before using his staff and taking off the other demon's head, taking them both down immediately. The two other demons are extremely surprised. Miss Tamayo and her assistant very surprised, and explains that they can figure out how to do it, and the only way for them to get the Tanjiro or Nezuko to be turned back into a human is for them to get Muzan's blood. The best way to do that is to take down the 12 Kizuki. As Tanjiro takes the advice and heads off. As that happens, he then is told to go to a mansion where the crow explains that there is a demon in this mansion and people are going missing. As that happens, Tanjiro is walking along, Nezuko being in the box on his backpack as he's walking along, before seeing a strange sight on the road. As he's a girl pulling at her shirt, and seeing a boy in a yellow jacket, or a yellow jacket jersey thingy. I don't really know what they're called, but yeah, jacket. As he's trying to pull on her leg and her coat, explaining, "Please, I'm gonna die soon." That was a voice crack. "Please, I'm gonna die soon. Marry me, please. I don't wanna die." As that happens, Tanjiro just rolls his eyes and grabs the man by his collar, pulling him away. This man being revealed as a boy with yellow hair and a yellow jacket, as he's saying, "No, what are you doing? Please stop, I don't want to die." Tanjiro explaining that, "You're a demon slayer, bro. Come on, what are you doing?" And the boy just crying his eyes out, really. As this happens, Tanjiro then walks along as the boy is kind of afraid next to him, almost shaking in his boots as he's walking along with Tanjiro pretty much having to drag him along. As that happens, they then arrive into the forest, seeing two boys freaking, or a boy and a girl freaking out. As that happens, Tanjiro asks them what's going on, as they explain that their brother has been kind of kidnapped and was taken away by some monster. Hearing this, Tanjiro immediately charges in, telling this boy, his name being Zenitsu, to guard the box and the two kids. Zenitsu explaining, like, not really wanting to do it, but having to, as they end up arriving into the mansion, Zenitsu walking in as well, as they are all split up from a weird sound of a drum. As that happens, Tanjiro arrives and sees a boy, or walks around with a little girl and sees a boy with a drum. As this happens, he then gives the kind of little girl to the boy, explaining that they were trying to eat him, but they then started arguing and he took this drum away from them. As that happens, Tanjiro then decides, alright, that's cool. So he lets the sister stay with the brother, and they both leave, or he leaves, getting ready to defeat this demon. As he kind of arrives, as he's walking around in the building, he then arrives in a room. Him then walking around, seeing, like, wondering what's going on, as the room then spins. Him turning around and seeing a strange demon with drums all over his body, and most importantly, a number 5 carved into his eye with a giant cross cutting through it. As that happens, Tanjiro immediately gets himself ready, bringing out his staff, as he's quite thankful that he kind of found the other kid first before fighting this villain, as if the girl was here, that would be a bit of a problem. Maybe in another life, he would have found this demon first, and not found the kid, leaving the girl here freaking out. As that kind of happens, the demon then tries attacking Tanjiro, attacking him, going after him, but the different kind of stories and the writing and paper is all being avoided. Tanjiro specifically avoiding the paper, taking the demon kind of off guard, before he then feels his energy drop. His energy is dropped very suddenly before it's then replenished, and one of his drums, the one that makes him kind of cut through anything, is then ripped out of his body as it lands in Tanjiro's hand, him then whacking it as a bunch of kind of wind blades then charge towards the demon, it having to drop, kind of move past it. As that happens, he then is charged by Tanjiro appearing right in front of him, as he then takes the demon's head off immediately. Taking down the demon, as the demon looks at his writing and sees that none of his writing had been taken down. Tanjiro explaining that even though he was a ruthless, heartless demon who didn't really deserve much mercy, his writing was still pretty cool. The demon's eyes swelling up with tears as he then dies. Before he dies, however, Tanjiro uses the syringe and takes some of the demon's blood. As that happens, a strange cat then appears as Tanjiro gives the cat the blood, as it disappears again. As this happens, a man then runs through, like, the building, charging through the building, and, well, charging through the wall and landing in the building. A strange man with a boar mask. As that happens, the man then charges past Tanjiro and runs through the building. As Tanjiro thinks, well, that's enough, he then goes back to the kids and brings them back. As soon as that happens, all three of them arrive outside, seeing the guy with the ball mask beating on Zenitsu, as Zenitsu is kind of cuddled over the box, protecting it. Tanjiro being kind of taken back by this, but kind of thankful to Zenitsu, then asks what's going on, as Zenitsu explains that he's trying to he's trying to get into Tanjiro's box. Tanjiro, thinking he ain't having none of that, charges towards Inosuke immediately. As he charges towards Inosuke feels a strange pull as his body is pulled towards Tanjiro, before then a massive punch being knocked into kind of Inosuke's head, and then a solid headbutt straight after it, putting Inosuke on the ground immediately, knocking him out. Inosuke then wakes up a few hours later as he sees that the people around him are burying the dead. He wonders why they're doing it, and they explain. They are then told to go to a household where people look after demon slayers, as they go there and get rested up for the next few days. After that, they are then told to go to Natagoma Mountain, where it is believed that a family of demons are slaughtering demon slayers left and right. After hearing that they need to go to Mount Natagomo, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, with Nezuko being in Tanjiro's box, decide to head off the next morning, going off and heading towards the Mountain of Demons. As they're heading off, Zenitsu is complaining the entire time that he doesn't want to die, but the other two just don't care. With Zenitsu with Inosuke kind of asking what their names are, Tanjiro saying that his name is Tanjiro Kamaboko, and Inosuke saying, "Kanpachiro Kamaboku! I'm gonna bring you down!" Sorry, I just need to say that. I know it happens earlier, but I need to say it now because I forgot to do it in the last part. But yeah, so pretty much that happens, and Tanjiro just kind of ignores him, thinking he's a bit of a twat, but oh well. After this, after a few hours of travelling, they finally arrive at Mount Natagomo, where Zenitsu is freaking the hang out. He is losing it. He is peeing himself nearly, and just saying that he doesn't want to die. Tanjiro just saying, alright, just stay here then, as he, Nezuko, and Inosuke head off into the forest, with Zenitsu just staying at the entrance of the forest, shaking in his boots, until a few minutes later, he realises that Nezuko is in the forest in danger, and he, being the chivalrous knight that he is, charges off into the forest. While Tanjiro and Inosuke go in, and they're a few minutes into the forest, they see a bunch of dead kind of people, a bunch of dead demon slayers on a bunch of strings or whatever, as they're all dead or nearly dead. As a couple of them drop down to try and kill them, one other demon slayer comes out to help them. As they quickly dispose of all of the ropes and all the strings, Tanjiro goes quickly, using his hunting style and ripping all of the strings towards him, taking them all off and snapping them all, removing the control from whatever demon was controlling them. After this, Tanjiro then boosts forward, as Inosuke uses his kind of sensing mode, using one of his kind of beast-breathing forms to sense where the demon is. Tanjiro boosts forward as he sees a demon drop down from the sky, as it's on strings, a headless demon with a very big build. As it swipes down trying to attack Tanjiro, Tanjiro jumps up and spins, slamming his four-section staff onto the demon, hitting it square in the middle, splitting it in two, before then cutting off of the strings. After this, he dashes forward, going at blaring speeds before arriving, seeing the demon in front of him, and using one of his kind of hunter breathing styles to pretty much pull the demon towards him before taking off her head, immediately defeating the demon. After this, Inosuke catches up as they both start heading further and deeper into the mountain. As they get there, they see a gigantic demon in front of them. Inosuke asking if this is a kind of one of the kind of 12 Kizuki, which they were warned may be there. Tanjiro explains it could be him, but they'll just have to find out. As that happens, the demon tries to attack him. Tanjiro jumps out of the way as Inosuke goes to slice off its arm. However, the attack doesn't work. As Inosuke's kind of freaking out why the attack didn't work, the demon's arm then explodes. As the arm goes flying backwards, the demon goes flying backwards as well, with Tanjiro using Hunter's Fist, removing a bunch of the strength from the demon, as he tells Inosuke to charge forward and take off its head while he still can. As that happens, Inosuke goes for the head, slicing at it, getting about halfway through, as Tanjiro jumps forward and swinging, using his snatch ability to pull on the head and starting to pull it towards him, helping Inosuke, as Inosuke rips and slices the demon's head off as it falls down. After this, Inosuke then decides to go forward and to other demons, as Tanjiro jumps up as he senses something is going on. As he does this, he starts kind of dashing towards whatever smell he can smell, or what he can smell. As he rushes forward, he sees two demons arguing. One of them saying to the other that she should do better, and that she should not let any of the demon slayers escape before then attacking her. After that, Tanjiro just walks out. That's not a way to treat your sister, is it? Oh, another demon slayer for me to massacre. Tell me what your name is. My name? It's a bit rude to ask what a person's name is before giving your own, but oh well, my name's Tanjiro Kamaboko. No, Tanjiro Kamaboko! My name's Tanjiro Kamado, and frankly, I'm here to kill you. Now, what's yours? Well, since you are so curious about it, I guess I'll give you my name. My name is Rui. Up Lower Moon 5 of the 12 Kizuki. As he says this, he then sends strings flying towards Tanjiro, as before the demon can even react, they're all torn to shreds. As he looks towards Tanjiro, he's nowhere to be seen, as he looks up to see a pretty much demon is all he can see, kind of above him, swinging down his staff, trying to take off the demon's head before he's then whacked away by a bunch of strings. As it happens, Tanjiro decides that he needs to put Nezuko down, taking off his backpack and placing her behind a tree. As that happens, he then charges towards the demon named Rui, as he uses his snatch ability to snatch at the demon's heart, ripping it out before then using Hunter's Fist to take down or to remove some of the demon's strength and energy. As that happens, he starts bulking up, getting stronger and stronger as Rui tries to attack him, but he can't. Nothing will work. As Tanjiro goes in for a swing, Rui uses a last ditch effort using his blood demon art, his strings turning a blood red colour as it slices at Tanjiro, taking off his arm, leg and half of his head, slicing up, taking off the top part of his head and up all of the rest of his body, pretty much slicing him into multiple pieces. As he sees this, Rui's strength then returns to him slowly as he breathes a sigh of relief, thinking if he didn't use his demon blood art, he would have died. As that happens, he then hears something. Steam. Wow, you almost got me there. Wow, if only I wasn't immortal, I would have died. As he looks down, he sees Tanjiro is gone as he feels a whack against his back. His back pretty much being blown in half, his lower body separating from his upper body as he splits in two, going flying back. As that happens, Tanjiro is on him like a dog, going after him, trying to swing and attack him, but Rui uses his strings to try and push and navigate around Tanjiro's attacks, trying to dodge him. As this happens, Nezuko starts to get out. She gets out and uses some kicks and attacks at Rui. As Rui uses his demon blood art, he slices Tanjiro's head off before throwing his body, sending it flying, as he goes after Nezuko, trying to take out one problem before the other. As he goes after Nezuko, he uses one of his string attacks, using a string cage and cages against Nezuko, using that to kind of slice her up and cut her before stringing her up into the sky. As that happens, he hears a roar of anger, pain and disgust, before him then feeling a strange feeling against his neck as he feels ripping. His neck is ripping before his head gets sent flying off of his head, as flames come off of Tanjiro's kind of 4-section staff, sending Rui's head flying off of his body. As that happens, Tanjiro gets down on one knee, exhausted from using Hunter's Fist and pretty much just fighting as hard as he did, and going pretty much as hard out as he could. As this happens, he then hears something. He hears something moving behind him. The body behind him doesn't drop. Instead, he sees the demon Rui's head get sent flying back onto his head. You almost got me there. It seems that we've both got tricks under our boot or up our sleeves. If I was any slower, you would have actually taken off my head. Luckily, you're too weak to do that, and I was able to take my own head off with my strings before you could kill me. As that happens, he then goes up, attacking Tanjiro using his strings to slice Tanjiro across the chest, sending him flying back. As that happens, he then slices up Nezuko, stabbing into her before her blood drips down onto his strings. As that happens, he then sees something dash towards him, this being Tanjiro, as he uses Snatch, snatching Rui's body, sending him forward before he is then ignited, erupts into flames as its pink and red flames erupt and just burn Rui, as he's not sure what it is before looking up and seeing Nezuko, her looking down at him with rage and a fire in her eyes, before hearing Tanjiro scream, "Hunter's Fist!" as all of his strength leaves his body. As that happens, he falls onto his knees, unable to move, as he sees Tanjiro 3 times his original size, bringing his staff down onto Rui, hitting him square in the neck, and his upper body exploding from the force. Rui's head going flying as he dies right there, turning into ashes and disappearing from all traces. After falling onto one knee, he looks up to Nezuko, seeing the strings starting to disappear as he jumps up, catching her before falling onto the ground. Falling onto one knee, or onto his knees, in pretty much exhaustion from using his Hunter's Fist and Snatch ability so much. He may be immortal, but it still weakens him a lot. After this, he then hears something behind him as he turns around to see Giyu Tomioka walking towards him. After that, he hears something above him, as before anyone could react, Nezuko is moved from where she originally was, Tanjiro grabbing her by the collar of her shirt and pulling her back for her to not get sliced up by the insect Hashira Shinobu. Her explaining that, saving a demon and being hospitable to a demon is a first great offense, and she probably shouldn't do that, and he is probably, if he's going to protect a demon, he is to be executed. Tanjiro just telling her to try him, and she prepares to attack, Giyu then telling her to stop. Her not listening as he charges towards Nezuko, ready to stab her and kill her, until her blade stabs into Tanjiro, hitting him square in the neck. Her sighing in disappointment that a demon slayer had to die, before Tanjiro just grabs onto the blade, pulling it off, as she sees his wound steaming up before just disappearing entirely. Her being very confused before a palm strike hits her square in the chest, sending her flying. Him saying he knows that demon slayers are not allowed to attack other demon slayers, but when it comes to family, he will fight the entire world if they try to kill his sister. As that happens, they then hear a crow explain that Tanjiro and Nezuko are to be taken to the Hashira mansion. Hearing this, Shinobu agrees with this and complies with this, as they all go to the Hashira mansion. Tanjiro being a lot less weakened than he originally was, Inosuke pretty much not being hurt at all, and Zenitsu still being as hurt as normal, as he still fought the spider demon and defeated him. As Tanjiro sees Zenitsu, he quickly runs up to him as he thinks of what he could do, thinking maybe his blood could heal him, as he slices across his wrist and pours it into a cup, giving Zenitsu the cup as so he can drink it. After this all occurs, he is then sent out to the courtyard of the Hashira mansion, where everyone tries to restrain him, and he complies as to not seem like a threat, them tying ropes behind his back and putting him kneeling on the ground as the Hashira are all around. All except one, as they're all explaining, why is he protecting a demon? He just says, she's his sister, and if anyone tries to attack her, he will kill them. And some of them thinking that he's too confident, this being the snake Hashira, or the serpent Hashira, and the sound Hashira as well. I may love Tengen, but the man is very confident. They both explaining that he has just become a demon slayer, and he should not be so confident in his abilities. As they are saying this, they then hear somebody walk up to them, as they see the Wind Hashira, also known as Shinazugawa, there standing there with his sword and a box, as he yells at Tanjiro that he is protecting a demon and therefore must be punished. And Tanjiro explains to him, bro, his sister ain't gonna be hurting nobody, and if she does, well, that sucks, but they ain't gonna be doing anything about it. As the Wind Hashira gets mad at him and draws his sword as he's about to stab Nezuko, as he throws the box on the ground and about to stab Nezuko. Tanjiro disappears as the ropes are on the ground where he originally was, and they just hear a boom as the Wind Hashira is sent flying into the fence, or into the fence or wall of the mansion, indenting it, and blood spewing out of his mouth, with Tanjiro there, red in his, just a killing intent in his eyes. Tanjiro ready to go after him until they hear somebody walk up. This man being the leader of the Demon Slayers, Kaguya Ubuyashiki. As they see him, all the Hashiras drop to one knee, Tanjiro standing there just bowing his head slightly. As he kind of sees all this, he tells them to all arise and to relax. As he tells them Tanjiro and Nezuko are under his protection pretty much, and if they want to do a test run, Tanjiro can even test, or they can even test Nezuko, as if if Nezuko tries to kill a attacks a human, both Giyu Tomioka and the original Water Hashira Urokodaki have stated that if that happens, all three of them, Urokodaki, Giyu, Tomioka, and Tanjiro Kamado, will commit seppuku. If you don't know what that means, search it up, because I'll get demonetized if I say the actual word. But if he says this, the rest of the Hashira are kinda adamant. Tanjiro just walking up, taking Nezuko and her box and putting her inside, before slicing his wrists and putting it on the box with Nezuko standing out of the box. As that happens, she looks at the blood and immediately declines it. All the Hashira are ready to attack Tanjiro for pretty much dishonoring and plaguing the room inside the kind of Hashira, or the Hashira mansion, but the blood immediately evaporates soon after, and his wound heals up, shocking everyone. As this happens, Kaguya asks if anyone of the Hashira would like to look after these demon slayers, Shinobu explaining that she will take them on. Not only these two, but also the other two, the boar-headed boy and the yellow-haired boy, these being Inosuke and Zenitsu. As this is explained, they all agree on it, as they all leave for the Butterfly Mansion. Once they all arrive at the Butterfly Mansion, Tanjiro sees Inosuke and Zenitsu. Inosuke being extremely hyper and ready to fight, Zenitsu still being kind of baby-legged and a little bit still hurt, but the blood in that Tanjiro made him drink definitely helped him, since he has the immortal kind of and healing properties of it. I'm not sure if that's an actual thing, but Prince of What If did do it, and I'm going to take it from him because it's a great idea, and it makes Tanjiro even more overpowered. And who doesn't like an overpowered character? After they all kind of get all settled in, Shinobu hands them all off to Kanao and the other kind of helpers at the Hashira mansion, with Tanjiro completely destroying all the tests they've given them, as they get him to do the tests against Kanao, but he destroys her in every single one of them, taking the cups and placing them on her head immediately, and the rest of them the tag and all the other ones. They then ask him if he can do this kind of thing where he breathes out and can do concentration breathing constant, where he just does concentration breathing constantly, as they get him to try and breathe out of this clay bottle. As they do it, they give him a mediocre one, and he does it immediately, then giving him a large one as he explodes that as well, giving them the biggest one, and he, after a little bit of effort, just a little bit, explodes that one as well, them all being extremely shocked. They then just let him do his thing, since he's already Hashira level. They all get him to kind of fight, or get him to look after and train the other two, which he does very ruthlessly, as the other two are put through the most hellish training of their lives, not even given the opportunity to not train. As soon as the kind of day breaks, Tanjiro is on them like a dog, beating at them with pillows if they don't wake up, whacking them with sticks, getting them to get up, as they are training from dusk till dawn. or dawn till dusk, whichever one. They're training through the entire day, only getting small breaks for food and to grab water if need be. And that is it, giving them extreme stamina and getting them a lot better. A few days kind of pass, or a few weeks pass, as the Flame Hashira Kyojiro Rengoku asks if he can take those three, or Tanjiro specifically, on a mission with him to defeat a upper moon demon, the upper moon, or the lower moon one. As they hear this, since he wants him to take him, since he's got experience with defeating upper moons, since he defeated lower moon 5. I keep saying upper moons. Lower moon 5, he may be able to help in fighting against lower moon 1. If it is a lower moon 1, they just know it's one of the 12 moons. So Tanjiro accepts, asking if the others could come with him, saying sure, why not. So they take him along, or they take all of them along as they go to the train wreck to go to the Mugen Train. As they look through it and try to investigate it, Rengoku and Tanjiro go to the train area where they figure that out, leaving Zenitsu and Inosuke to search some other areas. As they see it, as they get there, they hear a demon, as they see the running demon, or whatever it's called, is there. Once they see that, the demon takes a kid hostage, preparing to kill him before his head is taken from his body, as the head is ripped from his body and flung towards Tanjiro, as he gives it a quick whack on the neck, killing the demon immediately. Giving a whack with the neck with his stick, killing it, since it's nittering. You get what I mean. So he does that, killing it. Rengoku quite surprised that he was able to do that, hearing that he had some sort of strange demonic or magical like power, but understanding what they meant now. After this, they then get on the Mugen Train when it begins, as both Tanjiro and Rengoku understand that that was not the demon that killed all the passengers on the previous Mugen Train. Once they get on the train, they are all ready and kind of chilling out and ready for whatever comes, as while they're there, two demons arrive in the building, or in their carriage, as before anyone could react, Rengoku gets up, ready to attack them, taking down both demons with his first form and his second form consecutively. After that, the conductor arrives, giving them, or snapping their kind of tickets, as they all get ready to go, or as they all get ready to get on the train and have a good ride. While that's happening, Tanjiro could smell something was off with the tickets, immediately gripping it and pretty much tearing up the paper as for it to not use any abilities, but that only made it worse, them all going into a deep sleep. As they are all in the sleep, the kids arrive, trying to kill them in their sleep. However, Tanjiro knows better that this is just a dream. Knowing for a fact that his family has died in front of him, he immediately does what he can, trying to figure out, punching himself, kicking himself, trying to drown himself, and just trying to get out of the dream, but it just doesn't work. As he ends up finding his sword, or finding his father's axe, as he grabs it, pinning it against his neck, thinking, well, if it is real life, then he won't die, or he might die, since that all could have been a dream. But oh well, if that's the case, then that sucks. He'll see his dad. So he presses his blade against his neck and takes off his head. As immediately as that happens, he wakes up, seeing the kids all there, trying to wrap them all up, kind of in ropes. As he does this, he dashes towards the kids, kind of chopping against all of their necks, knocking them out. As that happens, he immediately gets Nezuko to wake up and get out, as he gets the others to wake up as well. As that happens, he immediately senses the demon, or the moon demon, the lower moon demon, is at the kind of on top of the train, as he just jumps up, jumping out of the window and landing on top. Seeing the demon in front of him, the demon's surprised that he broke out so easily, but he doesn't give him room to talk. As Tanjiro boosts, he just dashes, he blitzes towards the demon, going at him like a panther. I keep saying going at him like this, but it's the best way to explain it. He goes after him like a menace, just going after him using his 4-section staff, slicing at him. As he does this, the upper moon, or the lower moon one demon known as Emu, tries to make him go to sleep, but Tanjiro closes his eyes, going at him and just being able to smell where he is and using his other senses. Going at him and whacking at his legs, blowing off the demon's legs, before then whacking him across the neck, taking off his neck. Easy as that. After this, the demon then gloats that he was not the real demon and he is fused with the entire train. Tanjiro being kinda surprised, but also not, since he's seen weirder things. Or he feels like he's seen weirder things. As he goes out, dashing towards kind of the front of the train, Emu freaking out as the entire train morphs into disgusting kind of looks and just disgust in general. He dashes, or the Emu uses his tentacles to try and knock Tanjiro off the train and try and get him away, since he understands he is a threat. He also heard about the boy with the Hanafuda earrings from his master Muzan himself. As he wants to make Muzan proud, he wants to kill Tanjiro as much as possible. But it's no use, as any tentacle that he tries to hit Tanjiro with is knocked away. Anytime he tries to eat any of the people in the train, they are defeated immediately. Or that they are defeated immediately by the demon slayers inside. As Tanjiro jumps inside of the kind of cabin, he sees the kind of train driver there, as he stabs him in, or the train driver stabs Tanjiro in the side, which doesn't do a lot. It stabs into him, but Tanjiro just pushing him off and knocking him out. As the wound heals immediately, Tanjiro rips up the metal and jumps up, slamming his kind of weapon down, hitting the neck of the demon, but it doesn't go all the way through. Tanjiro, getting mad, uses his snatch ability, grabbing at the neck and ripping at it, using Hunter's Fist as well, starting to drain the energy of the demon. As this happens, the train slowly starts to slow down before the front of it then explodes. Tanjiro letting off a blood-curdling roar as he whacks down once again, slamming down and slicing the demon's head, or taking off the demon's neck, severing it and killing Emu. As this happens, the train debuckles and crashes onto the floor a lot sooner than normal. As that happens, Tanjiro and kind of the rest of the demon slayers then look around, happy that none of the other demons have, or none of the people have died. As this happens, they all kind of look around, hearing something in front of them. As they look in front of them, they see someone there. A reasonably sized man with strange markings and lines all over his body. Them all knowing immediately, Tanjiro and Rengoku especially, knowing that this is trouble. The other two being a little bit injured from their previous fights with the rest of the tentacles and all that, and also from the crash, step back, letting the two masters handle this. Even Inosuke knowing that this demon is completely out of his league. As that happens, the demon compliments them, saying that even though he was a lower moon, he was still not weak. He was weak in his standards and his eyes, but he was not weaker than humans are. As he dashes towards Tanjiro, ready to hit him, but it is blocked by Tanjiro grabbing his fist, and the fist, or Tanjiro's hand being pushed back, but he still caught it, as he punches the demon known as Upper Moon 3 Akaza in the sternum, sending him flying back. The demon being quite surprised as he coughs out blood. Very surprised that a mere human was able to hit him that hard. As that happens, Rengoku tells Tanjiro to step back, and if he needs it, give him support. Tanjiro just nodding as the fight between Rengoku and Upper Moon 3 Akaza begins, with them being reasonably matched, but it is obvious that Akaza has the lead and is on top with this fight, pretty much toying with Rengoku a lot of the time. As Tanjiro sees this, he immediately realizes that Rengoku is soon going to be overwhelmed, dashing in and pushing Rengoku back as he's about to get punched in the face. Tanjiro tanking the blow as the fist goes straight through Tanjiro's skull. The demon, Akaza, thinking that was a bit of a waste and he shouldn't have sacrificed himself like that, but his hand is then grabbed by Tanjiro as Tanjiro rips his hand, or pulls Akaza's hand out of his skull, as his head then starts steaming up and healing. As Tanjiro pretty much grabs Akaza by the wrist, gripping him before then hitting him multiple times, hitting him with multiple palm strikes in the chest before then using his 4-section staff and whacking him a bunch of times, taking off his arms and legs and sending him flying. As Akaza has no time to recover, Tanjiro goes after him. He goes at him, using his different forms, using Hunter's Fist, immediately knowing that this will slow him down considerably. He uses Hunter's Fist all the way, screaming as pink kind of particles and this pink looking energy comes off of Tanjiro like a strange aura, as pretty much Akaza drops to his knees, unable to move, as he just feels all of his energy and strength be taken away, before Tanjiro is up in front of him, hitting him straight across the face, sending him flying before he's then cut in half by a blade with a flame crest on it. Rengoku slicing Akaza across the hips, slicing his upper body from his lower body, before his head is then taken off by a massive hit. But it was only the upper side of his head, therefore it doesn't kill him, only taking his eyes and kind of brow off, sending his head flying back, and the rest of his body sending it into a tree. Tanjiro going at him again, knowing that he's not dead, uses his 4-section staff before his Hunter's Fist runs out, as he uses Snatch, grabbing at the demon, pulling him forward before then using his kind of 4-section staff to hit him across the side, sending him flying, as Rengoku uses his blade to slice off the rest of his, take off his head, killing the Upper Moon 3 Upper Moon 3 Akaza. This being extremely surprising, as the rest of them, this being very surprising as they just defeated the first Upper Moon. They were the first people to defeat an Upper Moon in centuries. After this, Muzan is very displeased and gets all of the demons to come back, and they say, oh no, Upper Moon 3 died. That's sad. After that, Tanjiro and Rengoku and everyone head back home, with Rengoku not dying. Yay! After this, they then go back to the Hashira mansion, where instead of just getting the girls, instead of just grabbing the girls, what's his name? Tengen Uzui you just immediately goes up to Tanjiro asking if he shall come with him to do a mission to defeat another possibly upper moon demon. Tanjiro, taking the opportunity, decides, yeah, sure, why not? He can't die, so it'll be better for him to be there than for somebody else to die. So he goes there, and they both agree. They both get to the red light district. Once they all get there, they are ready to kind of just find this demon. Tanjiro blitzing around at blinding speed, with the sound Hashira Tengen doing the same as they finally find something. Tengen jumping down and hitting the ground using his first sound breathing first form, Roar, hitting the ground as it explodes as he jumps down, slicing up a bunch of the kind of ribbons and the belt before the demon could even react, freeing everybody before Makio, Suma, or Hinatsu were even taken, as they are all still at their other respective houses. As it happens, Tanjiro then finds Upper Moon 6, or at least one half of Upper Moon 6, known as Daki, and she immediately recognizes him as a threat, sending her belts at him, but he just disappears from his vision before her head is removed from her shoulders, as she falls down onto her knees, not really understanding what's going on. Tanjiro just explaining that he's just built different, and she didn't stand a chance. And she hears this, she starts crying and starts like getting angry at him, saying like, that's not fair, like she's Upper Moon 6, she's defeated Hashira before, like she shouldn't have been defeated by some brat, like she's Upper Moon 6, and Tanjiro saying like, bro, like you're not Upper Moon 6, I'm sorry, you're way too weak. And her explaining like, yeah, I'm Upper Moon 6, before then starting to cry, while Tanjiro is denying it. Tengen arriving and seeing this, kind of confused, as he asked, like, is it over already? Tanjiro saying, yeah, but it's a bit weird, like her head's not she's not disappearing, as he looks and realizes something's wrong, as she then screams out for her brother before something morphs and just something disgusting grows out of her back, as Tengen immediately goes into action, dashing towards whatever this thing is, as he dashes forward ready to slice its neck off. But he's too slow, as a massive explosion goes off, with him looking back, seeing that they're gone, Tanjiro looking to his right and seeing that they're in the corner. The man being there, an extremely skinny and grotesque, just disgusting looking guy, is standing or kneeling down to Daki, with her being just angry and sad, and with just disappointed really, with him telling her she can heal and just heal her head. As this happens, Tanjiro then charges forward, ready to take his head off, but the attack is blocked. The demon not able to take his head off, but he still is able to block it. As this happens, Tanjiro and Tengen then start going after the demon. Tengen then going, like, trying to go after both Daki and the other demon known as Gyutaro. However, Tanjiro just going and putting their hands on Gyutaro going at him, using his demon blood art immediately, trying to slice at Tanjiro, and doing so, taking off his head and half of his body, splitting him into pieces. The demon thinking that that was easy and this guy was weak sauce, and going to kind of go after the other Hashira that he knows of, but then looking back to see that there's steam coming off of Tanjiro, before he then disappears and he is punched across the face. The demon going flying as he's confused, seeing Tanjiro there completely healed. As he's confused and then remembers what Muzan said, that one of the Demon Slayers with Hanafuda earrings seems to be like them, but has no weakness to the sun. So he needs to get that boy no matter what. As he hears this, the kind of demon Upper Moon 6 tries to go at Tanjiro, but he is no match. Tanjiro just slicing at him before then taking off both of his arms and taking off his head. The demon Gyutaro then laying there kind of falling but not being dead, and he's not fading away, as Daki is still alive and well, with her trying to fend off Tengen. Tengen kind of just toying with her really, as he sees that Gyutaro has been taken out. Before he can take off her head, however, Gyutaro attaches his head once again and dashes towards Tengen, ready to take his head off and kill the Sound Hashira, but it is blocked by Tanjiro. Tanjiro getting in the way and getting sliced down, before then grabbing at Gyutaro's leg and throwing him at a building, destroying it. As this happens, Tanjiro then says that he's figured it out and tells Tengen they need to take off both of the demons' heads at the same time. Tengen just nodding as Tanjiro dashes towards the stronger of the Upper Moon 6. He dashes forward, dodging multiple attacks before then using Hunter's Fist, pretty much taking away all of the demon's strength, saying that he is a lot weaker than that Upper Moon 3, rubbing it in the wound that this man is kind of weak before taking off his head, as Daki's head is removed as well, as both of them die. After this, they then head back, with Tengen then retiring since, well, he said to his wives that they shall leave after this final mission, and they decide to finish and leave, knowing that the Demon Slayer Corps in good hands with their newest Hashira, the Hunting Hashira, Tanjiro Kamado.